I'd like to start off with how has the Trump administration reshaped federal funding for universities?
Well, they've reshaped it in a couple of important ways. First of all, they have significantly cut the amount of money that goes to universities through federal grant funding. Now, some of that has come through eliminating or radically downsizing things like the U.S. Agency for International Development, but perhaps even more significantly, they have reduced the amount of overhead that they will pay on federal grants, cutting that down to only 15% of the grant amount. And universities often rely on that overhead that comes from federal grants to fund a range of activities and programs on university campuses. So that's been really significant. The other thing is that the Trump administration has tried to make university funding contingent on certain policy changes on university campuses, in part related to what they say is anti-Semitism on university campuses, but then also associated with a range of demands that go well beyond anything having to do with anti-Semitism, having to do with, for example, ideological balance among faculties, et cetera. So it's a pretty dramatic effort to rework the relationship between the federal government and American institutions of higher learning.
And Matthew, what impact do you see from visa restrictions on international students?
Well, I think that the restrictions on international students could be very, very consequential in a couple of ways. So in some fields, international students are absolutely essential to the work that is done on university campuses, particularly in many STEM fields, many high-tech engineering fields. As many as half or more of the graduate students in some of these fields come from overseas. And if you take them out of the equation, then it becomes very difficult for those departments to continue with their teaching and research mission. So that could have a pretty dramatic impact. The other impact is a financial one, because typically international students are full pay students. That is, they are paying 100% of the tuition and fees to the universities, as opposed to being subsidized by the universities, as many American students are. So eliminating international students from the equation has a definite deleterious budgetary implications for a lot of these institutions. So it really is a double whammy.
And what do you make of the proposed changes to university accreditations?
Well, with regard to accreditation, the Trump administration has sought to introduce what appear to be ideological or political criteria into the accreditation mix. Demanding the end of DEI programs is one thing, but also looking at things like ideological balance in the faculty, et cetera. This would be a major, major upheaval in the way that institutions are accredited, and would really sort of throw that whole system into some chaos, since accreditation is a process and a system that is at the core for how universities judge who is and is not a legitimate institution in terms of federal funding, in terms of student aid, et cetera. So definitely that is in a state of upheaval right now.
Professor Matthew Wilson, great having you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.